Shields up, Iron Breakers. Rookon here coming at you with another video, and today we're going to be talking about this whole situation around Rockstar Games of the 100-hour work week. And the reason I want to talk about this is because I kind of feel like I have a different outlook on this whole situation that a lot of people really are not discussing. Now, if you haven't been following this particular bit of news that has been developing over the past couple of days, essentially there was an interview with Rockstar's co-founder, Dan Houser, naturally in the context of Red Dead Redemption 2, where he stated the following: "We were working 100-hour weeks several times in 2018. And naturally, whenever you hear this, particularly with all of the news that we've had about crunch time when it comes to working in the video games industry, several people instantly jumped on this and started screaming foul and saying, oh my God, terrible, toxic workplace, and how can people even work like this? This is inhuman. And, you know, the usual instant reaction that you get to this kind of stuff. And my initial knee-jerk reaction to this was also like, I mean, why? Why are you having people crunch for like 100-hour weeks? I mean, you know that Red Dead Redemption 2 is going to sell no matter when you fucking release it. You can release it in 2 years and it will sell just as much, if not more, than it will sell if you release it, you know, tomorrow or in November or when is this releasing? I think it's at the end of the month, pretty soon here. But essentially that was my first knee-jerk reaction, right? It's like, you don't really need to do crunch because people are going to buy this game no matter what you do, period. Because, you know, Rockstar fans are Rockstar fans, and Red Dead Redemption 1 was a pretty solid game, even though it was not particularly my cup of tea. I understand why a lot of people like it, the amount of polish, the amount of stuff that that game has. I recognize all of it, and I understand where the passion comes from. And I understand that this one is going to be as successful as it can possibly be. So my knee-jerk reaction is like, you don't really need it. But then the more I see people just completely be friggin' outraged by what is going on, I also realize, you know, I've done quite a few 100-hour crunch weeks. I've done quite a few of those myself over my life. Whether that is when I was working for broadband TV, whether that is when I was working in digital printing, whether that is when I was studying in college. I've done plenty of those weeks. And every time that I've done it has been a choice. And that's where I think needs to be an important distinction. Because, like, if people are being forced, like really forced to do 100-hour work weeks, which is something that we'll look further into as we go down this particular article. If people are being forced to do that amount of work, if people are being forced to crunch, yes, I completely disagree with that. I do not support that at all. People should not be forced. On the flip side, people should not be discouraged from doing it either. And that's the part where I kind of disagree with a lot of people. Because like, this should never happen. No, I disagree. I completely disagree. I think that if people want to do crunch because they're passionate about a project or because they feel like it needs to be done and they want to and they are willing to do it, that is fine, so long as they are A, properly compensated, and B, get some resting period after said crunch weeks, okay? So long as those two things happen, I don't see anything wrong with working 100-hour weeks every now and then. And I know a lot of people are going to come at me, Rurikon, are you fucking crazy? What the hell are you talking about? You supporting this kind of shit? It's like, look, some human beings work better on the 9-to-5 schedule. Some human beings will actually lose productivity if they have to go into crunch. Other human beings actually thrive on crunch, which in my opinion, that is my case. I tend to thrive on crunch. That's just the way that I work. Usually someone puts a task in front of me and I feel like we should get this task done quick because it needs to get done. I'm going to do it. But usually I will talk with the boss. I'm like, look, dude, I will get this done. No matter how long it takes, no matter whatever, I will work it out. I'll figure it out. I'll get it done. Right? But then you're going to have to give me a couple of days off so that I can like relax and get back in the zone, and then we can get back into our normal rhythm. That's always been the way that I worked, okay? And I've done crunch many times throughout my life, okay? And again, every single time that I've done it, it's been a choice. It's been my decision to do it, and it's always been a positive thing because, like I said, I thrive on it. Being able to not be limited by the constraints of like, I don't know, 10-hour workday or 9-hour workday, depending on where you work, depending on which company you work for, and not really be constrained by that and just be like, no, I'm going to really plunge myself into this problem and work it out and figure it out and solve it. To me, that works better than like, oh, I'll take a look at it tomorrow and I'll figure it out. Because then I come in tomorrow and I have to remember all of the things that I did the day before. And sometimes it just doesn't work out because I forget something or because I'm not as focused or whatever. But if I'm able to focus for several hours on a particular task, I tend to do better at that task if I just keep going until the task is complete. And I just find that nobody is really reporting on the positive aspects of this, you know? Like, you think video games that you have been playing throughout your whole life never have seen crunch time? I can guarantee you every single good video game that you have ever played in your life has suffered from some portion of crunch, because that is where the polish comes from. That is where some of the best experiences that you've had in your life comes from. And again, I'm not saying this, and I really hope nobody quotes me out of context here, because I'm not saying this as in, oh yeah, people should work 100-hour weeks every day. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that if someone who is an individual that feels like, I could really benefit from a couple of more hours on this, but then you got to give me a couple of additional days off and proper compensation, all this other stuff, but just like really let me sink myself into this problem and work it out, right? That should not be discouraged. And that's just my opinion on it. Like, we can go round and round around this topic, and I know that most people are not going to agree with me, and that is fine, but I'm just trying to tell you guys that not everything is negative. And as you guys will see further down here, Dan Hauser then replied, and he says, there seems to be some confusion arising from my interview with Harold Goldberg. The point I was trying to make in the article was related to how the narrative and dialogue in the game was crafted, which was mostly what we talked about, not about the different processes of the wider team. After working on the game for 7 years, the senior writing team, which consists of 4 people, Mike Unsworth, Rupert Humphreys, Laszlo, and myself, had, as we always do, 3 weeks of intense work when we wrapped everything up. 3 weeks, not years. We have all worked together for at least 12 years now and feel we need this to get everything finished. After so many years of getting things organized and ready on this project, we needed this to check and finalize everything. So according to Dan Hauser, this was a 3-week thing. 3 weeks of 100 hours? That's quite a lot, actually. I personally haven't done that. There's got to be a lot of passion going into that. That's pretty unhealthy. But still, I would not discourage it if these 4 people, if this is something that they want to do, if they feel passionate about the project, and if they feel that they can really solve something by doing this. I mean, I imagine that after they did this, they took like 2 weeks off, or at least 1 week off or something. So in a way, some people might consider that to be more valuable, because, some people might think, oh no, my weekend is super valuable, my 2 days. To some people, they might be like, I'll give up my weekend and then I'll get some more days like in a row, It all depends on who you are. Varies from person to person. Continuing on, more importantly, we obviously don't expect anyone else to work this way across the whole company. We have some senior people who work very hard purely because they're passionate about a project or their particular work, and we believe that passion shows in the games we release. But that additional effort is a choice, and we don't ask or expect anyone to work anything like this. Lots of other senior people work in an entirely different way and are just as productive. I'm just not one of them. No one, senior or junior, is ever forced to work hard. I believe they should be expected to work hard on some level, but I don't mean work. I guess he means that they're not forced into 100-hour work weeks. I believe we go to great lengths to run a business that cares about its people and to make the company a great place for them to work. But many have pointed out Hauser's comments echo previous reports of Rockstar crunch culture, something which was memorably exposed in 2010. Going back 8 years for this. From the partners of those working on the original Red Dead Redemption, the letter spoke of a toxic workplace culture where extreme overtime was standard, encouraged, and came with punishments for those unwilling to comply. Again, I wasn't there. I don't know. I'm not saying these people are lying. It is possible. Maybe the company has changed. Again, I don't know. I'm not even going to bat for Rockstar because I don't even care that much about Rockstar games. What I do care is about the topic that is being discussed of crunch. That is what I care about. I'm just saying that there are positive aspects to it. Not everything is a negative. Now, we have a couple of tweets here probably 12 to 14 hour days, 6 days a week. Sometimes we're given the choice of which weekend we want it off. Probably lasted for a year as the crunch hours go on way past release to cater for post-releases, DLC, etc. See, this is bad. Going on for a year, like at that point, I believe that after the 3 weeks, after a month of doing this, you're actually going into diminishing returns and your team is actually losing productivity rather than gaining it. Like, you need to give people time to rest. So if this is the case, if this tweet right here is correct, then I would be like, no, that's bullshit. You can't have people do that. That's not acceptable. Then we have someone else who says, I've worked in the film and games industries. Speaking only for myself, there have been times where I worked 100 hours in a week happily and proudly. So did I. Rockstar quit after only a few months. So this person says that on Rockstar, it was pretty bad. So again, I don't know. Either way, they then say Red Dead Redemption 2 launches on the 26th of October. So ultimately, what I'm trying to get at here is that while there are positive aspects to crunch, there's obviously a lot of negative aspects. And some of you guys are going to say, but Rurikhan, that can't be healthy. And it's like, look, dude, there's a lot of things in life that are not healthy. It's all about what you value the most. Do you value your health the most? Do you value your creations the most? And I'm not saying that I'm personally the most healthy person out there. I'm clearly not. The amount of time that I dedicate to content creation and research and all the shit that I do on YouTube and Twitch, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And it's not healthy. But it is a passion that I have. And therefore, I will do crunch if I feel like I need to do crunch. That's just the way that it works. But not all crunch is bad. Not all of it is terrible. And so long as it's a choice, so long as people are not being forced into it, they should not be discouraged from doing it. But anyways, that's where I'm going to leave it here. I'm very curious to know what you guys' opinion is on this. Leave it in the comment section below. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.